Hello YouTube, it is your boy B3, trying to record with my camera even though I don't have the viewfinder working. Today I wanted to talk about a fun film, a movie that is so underrated it's insane. The Incredible Shrinking Man from 1957. It's in one of the DVD sets I bought a while ago. I took kind of a movie reviewing break. I might be getting back into it. But The Incredible Shrinking Man is... it should be a classic. It's really good. In fact, it's the only shrinking movie I like. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves never made an impact on me. I thought Ant-Man wasn't anything special. I really didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp. Shrinking movies don't do it for me. Except this one, which I found to be incredible. So yeah, The Incredible Shrinking Man can be watched on YouTube, Google Play Movies and TV, Vudu, Amazon Prime Video, and iTunes, and it's pretty affordable on DVD as well. It's got a 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 4 out of 5 on Empire, plus 90% of Google users liked the movie. Let's do a little read-up, shall we? While on a boating trip, Scott Carey, played by Grant Williams, is exposed to a radioactive cloud. Nothing seems amiss at first, but several months later, Scott realizes that he's shrunk in height by several inches. He sees a doctor who admits that he's baffled. As Scott continues to shrink, decreasing to 3 feet tall, he becomes bitter and lashes out at his wife, Louise, played by Randy Stewart. He begins to fear a cure will never be found, since even as he becomes a national sensation, he's still shrinking. Released February 22nd, 1957 in the U.S. of A. Director Jack Arnold. Story by Richard Matheson. Budget $750,000 United States. And screenplay was by Richard Matheson and Richard Allen Simmons. Starring Randy Stewart, April Hyde, Paul Langton, William Schalt, Raymond Bailey, Billy Curtis, Diana Darren, and Grant Williams. This movie's incredible. Pun intended. What a... Sorry about the... that blanket behind me is dirty. It needs to be washed. Sorry about that. But this is the only shrinking film that you need to watch. It's incredible. I'll be watching another shrinking film soon called like Dr. Cyclops. But I'm like not even hyped for it because there's no way it can be better than this shrinking film. Oh my god. The sets. The wardrobe. The props. It was almost entirely practical. It was insane. You believed this man was small. Oh my god. A lot of it holds up, effect-wise, which is pretty impressive. The sets hold up very well. So he's shrinking, and like the most of it's just the drama of what's happening in his life as he shrinks. It wasn't just the radioactive cloud that did it. It was also like exposure to certain chemicals, and then the mixture made him shrink, and etc. And then it gets to the point where he gets so small that the cat gets in and tries to eat him. And he falls into the basement, but his wife does think the cat ate him. So they had a funeral. They don't look for him. Well, they do look for him just in case, but they don't find him. And he has to like survive in the basement. He uses like a needle as a sword, and he like tears up some old rags, and he lives in a matchbox, and he eats stale cornbread that his wife accidentally left down there, and he has to fight off like rats and spiders. It's pretty cool. It's so dramatic. He fails at half the stuff he attempts. So, like, every time he goes into, like, a new survival thing, like, will he be able to get that food? Because half the time he gets food, and half the time he doesn't get food. Because it's just... He's not successful every time, but he doesn't fail every time. So whenever he tries something that he needs to do to survive, you never know if he's going to do it or not. And big spoilers right here. Throughout the whole film, I was like, okay, so it seems to be... The narration seems to be a book he wrote. At the beginning of the film, he's writing a book about the experience. And the narration is that book. So I'm like, oh, well, of course he makes it out and they find a cure and stuff because they finish his book. Or at the very least, he finishes his book before he shrinks into nothingness. he doesn't. The narration device was a trick. They never find him. His wife moves out of the house and leaves him in it. He eventually escapes the house because he gets so small he can slip through the grate and go outside. He can like slip through this wire grate. And it's wild, and he just keeps shrinking. And as he's shrinking, he just like kind of realizes, wow, it doesn't matter because I was always small. Just being able to see stuff from this perspective, like, as humans, we thought we were the big boys. We are not the big boys. Even at this size, because he was at that super small size, and he goes outside for the first time, and he looks up at the sky, the night sky, and he's like, the night sky's the same size to me. It's the same scale. I was always small. And he's like, maybe I'll grow so small I'll enter a whole new world. Will more people follow me into this world? And all this stuff, and it just ends! And I was like, what? 50 movies from this time period often had a happy ending. They would be resolved. And he just walks into the wilderness super tiny. And I was like, oh, I loved that. I thought there was no way in hell he wasn't going to get back to normal because of the time period he came out in and the narration device. And then he doesn't. And I was like, it got me. It actually got me. I know this was a short one. I didn't want to make it too long, but there's so much going on in this film. I do think it holds up. It looks like they might have killed a tarantula to make this movie. If you're unwilling to see like a dead tarantula on screen, that was most likely killed by the filmmakers. Right before he's about to kill the spider, maybe just turn away for a couple minutes or fast forward a little bit. You'll be fine. He does verbally abuse his wife a lot, but the film frames it as a bad thing. Even for the time this film was made, when women were not even close to equal, nor are they today, sadly enough. He was like just verbally abusing her, and then we'd see how much it hurt her. And his narration from his book would be like, I'm treating my wife horribly, she doesn't deserve me. She'd be 100% better off if I just straight up died. And I was like, oh my god, the drama in this film. So yeah, that's a couple trigger warnings. It's got some verbal abuse, a decent amount of it, actually. And it's got a dead animal, but it's a spider. So that'll be that. But also, there's this one part where he meets a little person. Like, he goes by a carnival and he meets a little person. And he can, like, talk to her because she's the one person in the world that doesn't see the shrinking man when she looks at him. And there's, like, one point in the film where they find a way to stop his shrinking, like, at the midpoint. And when they do, he's still, like, 3 feet tall. But then it like wears off and he starts to shrink again and he freaks out. And there's actually this one part where he looks like he's going to cheat on his wife with this little person, and then he doesn't. And I was like, of course he won't. What was I thinking? Like, I was so into it because I was like, movie this time period, no, they're not. He's not going to cheat on his wife in a movie in this time period, especially since he's portrayed as the hero. And he didn't. He was good on that, but I felt like he was gonna. It was framed like he was gonna. Very interesting. What an interesting movie. I'd love to see this remade today. The only problem is the special effects. If this movie was made today, the special effects would be worse. They would use CGI for literally everything they could. The whole thing would be filmed in front of a green screen or a blue screen or something. And they wouldn't have these huge sets where the actor can interact with the pin cushion and pull the pin out of it to fight with and stuff. And they wouldn't use real animals. They would use big CGI animals. And it's like, I'm fine with films using real animals. 100% as long as they're not cruel to them. But that is basically it for The Incredible Shrinking Man. It's a must-watch. 100% recommended. fantastic film, and I really think it holds up. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see you all next time.